What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing my mock draft 2.0, and this mock draft is made after the combine, so we've gotten to learn much more, see some more narratives play out, see these guys finally test and really learn their athletic ability. So this will be much nicer to have more information on these guys. And we're going to start here with the trade up to 1. It's the same teams I had trading last time. And don't cook me too hard on the compensation because I'm really not sure. And these are all kind of draft night situations. But right now, to get up to 1, I have the Texans trading their second overall pick, the 33rd overall pick in the second round, and a first and second from next year. They own Cleveland's first from next year. I have them trading that away to the Bears. We're going to go ahead and force it through. Now, the Texans at 1, I have them sticking with their franchise guy, getting Bryce Young, D'Amico Ryan's new head coach. I have them really putting an effort in to get their guy, and I believe that the Texans really like Bryce Young. Chicago at number 2. And other people have them possibly trading down again. I don't. I think they're perfectly happy to get Will Anderson here. And Will Anderson will be a franchise cornerstone for that team. And he is a guy you can build around. He gives you a good first basis to start off of on defense. And anything you add to him will just be great around him, especially in that front 7. Really like that pick, and I think the Bears are very satisfied with getting compensated and still getting their blue chip prospect. Number 3, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and a lot of people call this a trade out spot. I also call this a trade out spot, and I believe that the team that will be trading up with the Cardinals here will be the Carolina Panthers. And then we get into another compensation situation here. So again, this is an estimate. This is my guess on what it's going to take. It could take more or less on draft night, but bear with me. I'm going to say that swapping pick 9 for 3, adding 39 and 61, both from this year, and a first and a second from next year is what it's going to take. I know this could be a lot, or it could be too little in your opinion. But bear with me. I think it's going to take a lot to jump that far, especially when the Cardinals know there's going to be more competition and the Panthers know there's going to be other people trying to get up. So we're going to go ahead and force this through. And with the Panthers now at 3, we're going to select CJ Stroud, who I believe they're very happy to get. This turns this Panthers team into a division winner possibly this year, in my opinion. They did perfectly fine without a good quarterback last year. They were in contention for that division. And adding CJ Stroud, a young cornerstone here, just their franchise quarterback, is going to make this team much more desirable to join and just a better team all around. And he already has DJ Moore, who's a pretty good receiver. And at pick 4, a lot of people have Anthony Richardson rising up the boards. I do believe the Colts will go quarterback, but the quarterback that I have the Colts selecting is Will Levis. And Will Levis just seems like such a Colt to me. That's just such a fix in my mind. And I'll be flexible, obviously. I'm not going to run away from a narrative. But Will Levis, I still think that they could be looking for their Josh Allen kind of prospect. Still, obviously, not a good comparison. But I can see where the Colts like Will Levis. And Anthony Richardson hadn't played enough or played well enough in college to go get him yet. And we will be moving on to pick 5, which is the Seattle Seahawks. And again, I preface this with there was a lot of news that came out, and sadly one of those storylines was Jalen Carter. I'm not going to get much into it, but he's fell down draft boards a bit. And again, I'm not sure what the situation will be when we get to the draft, but for right now, how I sit, I don't see Jalen Carter at this point in time falling past pick 5, and I think the Seahawks are delighted to get a guy. They desperately need interior defensive line help, and he fully addresses all of that. Watch the tape in college. It's all you need to see. He absolutely demolished interior offensive lines. So Jalen Carter, the Seahawks at 5. We are now to pick 6 with the Lions. And there's a lot of different directions to go here. Corner, do you grab Anthony Richardson and have him sit for a year or 2 behind Goff, who had a pretty solid year last year unexpectedly? The direction that I am going to go with is that of Anthony Richardson. And that might be an early pick for him. I'm not sure. I don't want to be fooled like I was last year with people talking about Malik Willis being a lock for the first round and then no quarterbacks going other than Kenny Pickett to my Steelers. But I do believe that these situations with quarterbacks are far different, and these prospects are far more talented and gifted than they were last year. So I could see this situation happening, and I have Anthony Richardson rounding out the QB class in those top echelon of guys. Going to the Lions here. Pick number 7, I have the Las Vegas Raiders, and in this they will be taking Tyree Wilson. And this is a much needed help to Max Crosby on the other edge. Tyree Wilson is a physical freak, and he's not even refined yet. Also, there's a little cool connection. Texas Tech, the college he played at, is the Red Raiders, and it's the Las Vegas Raiders, so doesn't even have to change half of his name. It's awesome. And Tyree Wilson, I absolutely love his tape. I think he, with good coaching, can get much more technical, but athletically, he is just an absolute superhuman. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does when he gets to the league and gets under some more advanced coaching. Number 8, I have the Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons here are kind of in an odd spot because they really need a big edge rusher. They were horrible at pressuring the quarterback last year, and they just desperately need some help here. I'm going to go Lucas Van Ness here. This could be a real reach, but I really like his versatility. He can slide inside as well, and they need everything front 7. So having a guy that's versatile and that can play multiple positions allows them to be flexible early on in his career, and I really like that. So Van Ness at 8 could be a reach, but I think that his versatility for their needs, that's a good pick. Number 9, now the Cardinals, after their trade with the Panthers to 3, sit here. I'm going to start with Devin Witherspoon, an absolute physical corner out of Illinois. He went to high school right near me, and the dude runs to the backfield like he has his head cut off. He's super physical, and he's a great corner. I think he could be really good in the league. I'm not as high on him as some other people are, but I can see where people come from, and I could see a team like the Cardinals taking a shot. This could be a really good corner in the league, so I don't mind this pick one bit for the Cardinals. Next up, number 10, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have a few guys walking away in free agency, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and James Bradbury. I think their clear pick here, which they would be blessed on draft night if Christian Gonzalez is sitting here at 10. They would be sprinting. They'd be running a 4.4 to the stand to hand the draft card in. They would be elated. So Christian Gonzalez at 10, I love that pairing. I have some that I'm like, I just love the pairing, and Christian Gonzalez to the Eagles, they would be setting themselves up defensively for a long time. The Tennessee Titans at number 11. Peter Skoronski makes a lot of sense here. They need O-line help really bad. Although he has short arms, Peter Skoronski is a beast, and he can be versatile on the line. He can line up inside as well as outside. There's a clip that circulated of Skoronski getting stiff-armed and not being able to reach the edge defender. So who knows how effective he'll be at tackle. He may have to kick inside to guard, but he can. So that's a luxury. To pick 12 in the Houston Texans. And the Texans here, there's a lot of different routes they could go. I could see them taking a shot, kind of like how the Falcons did on a receiver early last year. They took a Drake London at 8, I believe, which was a really high in my eyes. He was the first receiver off the board. I never thought he should have been. I could see the Texans going with a Quentin Johnston this early. I don't see him as my wide receiver 1, but again, I think wide receivers really depend on the team taking them and what kind of archetype kind of guy they want. The Texans, they have a Nico Collins. They drafted John Mechie III last year, who's a kind of smaller slot guy. I don't think they need another little slot guy. So Quentin Johnston, taller dude, has some speed on the outside. Didn't really show as much as we wanted him to in the combine. Has great athleticism, though. So I think Quentin Johnston's a good pick here for the Texans. TCU's in Texas. Gets to stay around home. Good situation. On to the Jets at 13. And another one of those pairings that I really love, and I take it in most of my mock drafts, is Paris Johnson to the Jets. One thing about the Jets, they love their Ohio State players. How could they not? Garrett Wilson just won the Offensive Rookie of the Year with no quarterback play. So I think bringing one of his former teammates in, Paris Johnson, would be awesome. They also took Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end from that Ohio State team. They took him last year. So they're bringing the whole squad back together. But I love Paris Johnson here. They need to get the tackle position right. Keep picking it until you get it right. They have to. So I believe they do. And I believe it's either Skronsky or Johnson, whoever makes it there. It could be some of these other outliers like an Anton Harrison or Broderick Jones, but I think if Paris Johnson's there, they're so happy. Number 14, the New England Patriots. And there's a lot of different ways I could go here. I think that they know that Jackson Smith-Njigba is good and that he's really, really good, and they need that dynamic playmaker. Not the fastest guy, but he's so agile. He's an Ohio State receiver. He knows how to get open. They use space better than any receivers I've ever seen. Watch some Garrett Wilson, watch Chris Olave. They sit between zone coverages, and they have eyes in the back of their head. I watched Garrett Wilson mid-catch look over his shoulder to see where the defender was coming from. It's actually ridiculous how well coached they are and their sense of space and their sense of how to get open. So I think Belichick knows that, and he'll go take JSN and get a steal. Pick 15, the Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of ways I could go here. You have to know how a team thinks, and the Packers don't pick receivers in the first round. They love boosting that front seven over and over. And I think that this could be another situation where they go for the athletic freak and get Nolan Smith at 15. I think that's very possible. Rashawn Gary and Nolan Smith off the edge could make one of the most devastating front sevens ever. Like, that would be, if Nolan Smith can really refine how to be an edge rusher, which he's very good at pressuring the quarterback, but in the NFL against bigger dudes, if he can really refine it and get a little bit bigger, that'd be nice as well. He and Rashawn Gary could be a tandem. So I love that pick there. It's also kind of in the way that the Packers pick, so I kind of like sticking to what I know this team, how this team treats the draft. The Commanders at 16. And the Commanders, to me, have a glaring need, and that is corner. Joey Porter, close to Washington at Penn State. I like Joey Porter here. Against the consensus, a lot of people have Joey Porter to the Steelers because the obvious connection of Joey Porter, the dad, winning a Super Bowl with the Steelers. I don't really like him as much as other people do as a Steelers fan. I think he's a great corner, but at pick 17 for the Steelers, I would almost rather him go off before so we don't have to face the conflict of wanting to keep a family kind of organization together. I feel like we fall into that trap a little bit, but in this situation, he's gone. Don't have to worry about it, and that will allow us to look at other corners and tackles. I'm a big Emmanuel Forbes fan. He is a bit undersized, weighing in at 166 in the combine. Very concerning to me. My favorite pick for the Steelers here is Broderick Jones at pick 17. We really need a tackle. The tackles kind of fall off. They're deep through the second round, but I really want one of those top guys, and I think Broderick Jones is one of those guys, as well as Anton Harrison. I like Jones better personally, just from what I've seen, but very happy with Broderick Jones there at 17. We'll move on now, pick 18 to the Detroit Lions. And this is one of those marriages in my head where I think Dan Campbell would love a Brian Brzee. They need interior defense badly, and I had them up here taking Anthony Richardson, so they really just have to address that. And having pick 18 is great for them. So they get Brian Brzee, and they are very, very happy with this first round so far. At pick 19, the Buccaneers could go many different ways here. They're going to really be entering a big rebuild here, I think. And to me, it starts on the offensive line. And this may be a little bit early for a guard, but I really like Osiris Torrance and Florida player. If they really do start Kyle Trask, then they'd have a couple of Florida players there. But I really think they need a solid guard, and Osiris Torrance is a solid guard. So I really like that pick for them. Again, guards aren't really valued like a tackle, obviously, but I think that they just go get their guy. I think a rebuild really starts on the O-line and the trenches. I love rebuilding through the trenches. It really gives you a basis to kind of allow other players to be better than they would be. The Seahawks at 20. And we had the Seahawks earlier taking Jalen Carter. We could double up and go an edge defender here. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with Myles Murphy at 20. I'm not the biggest fan of Myles Murphy when it comes to the ability to do other stuff than just bull rush, but I still really like him for that role on the Seahawks. They need someone that can just bull rush. They have Uchenna Nwosu, who's very good and I believe is up and coming. But Myles Murphy here, I think they'd be very happy to pair him with Jalen Carter and make that front seven much better. That was their clear weakness, and they just got much stronger through this first round at that weakness. Pick 21, the Chargers. They just recently kept Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I thought Keenan Allen could possibly be a cap casualty, but he wasn't. So I think here we go Michael Mayer, give him another receiving threat, pair him with Gerald Everett at tight end, and have a really good, just more options for Justin Herbert. That's exactly what he needs. I don't really like a receiver well enough to go at 21 there, one of those guys. But Michael Mayer, very happy with him as a receiving option, and I think the Chargers will as well. The Ravens at 22. The Ravens here just traded Chuck Clark to the Jets, so I'm really liking the Brian Branch kind of situation with moving Kyle Hamilton to a more traditional safety role and allowing Brian Branch to come in and be a versatile nickel. And they really need that now that Chuck Clark's gone. Now they can kind of transition Kyle Hamilton. I like that pick a lot. Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings need a lot of defensive help. They needed it last year. They've needed it a lot recently. And they just need to refresh in some areas. Corner is one of them. And Deonte Banks is going to be my pick here. He ran very well in the combine, and he really showed out athletically. He has really rose his stock, but I think he would be a great pick for them at pick 23. Could be a little bit early of a pick, but I still really like him there. The Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars need a few things such as interior offensive line, corner. With Osiris Torrance gone, I wouldn't really jump to take a Steve Avila this early, so it becomes kind of a different situation here for the Jaguars. And Doug Pearson loves his tight ends. I could see a Dalton Kincaid pick here at 24. They love their two tight end sets. You get Evan Ingram and you get Dalton Kincaid. And Dalton Kincaid really was good. He harassed USC twice this past year, just tore them up. And I think he can be a very good pick in the league. I think if Torrance is here, Osiris Torrance is the pick for the Jags, but in this case he is not. So Dalton Kincaid will be a Jaguar at 24. Pick number 25, the Giants. They need wide receivers desperately. They need a little interior offensive line, some linebacker help. And I think the best pick here, Jordan Addison is still here. He really gives them the hybrid between a kind of a slot player, which he will be in the NFL, and also a deep threat. Not the speed, but the way he can get vertical. Jordan Addison is a beast. We saw it with Kenny Pickett, the Biletnikoff winner 2 years ago. And Jordan Addison is really, really good. He's one of those players that plays better than all of his metrics. We've seen it proven in college. Jordan Addison really balled out at Pitt 2 years ago. So I think they would love to have him in New York, and hopefully he can shine under the spotlight. Pick 26 to the Cowboys. Speaking of spotlight, I don't really know a great pick for the Cowboys because everything seems to get criticized in my mind. They could look wide receiver because they do need help, especially like that wide receiver 3. I could see them bringing in a free agent like Odell, but if Odell doesn't come, they could address it here. I think it's a little bit early for like a Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, or Nathaniel Dell, who all ran below what they were expected to run in this past combine. But I think this really could end up being a Kalijah Kancey pick. I feel like the Cowboys make controversial picks, and Kancey's a very small defensive tackle. He produces like crazy, especially in college. Will he be able to do that in the NFL, where there's a lot bigger interior offensive linemen? We don't know. But I just feel like the Cowboys are going to take that controversial pick. He can produce, he can ball, he's shown it, and they take him there at 26. 27. This is where Steve Avila, even though he may be a little bit of a reach, the Bills just need interior offensive line so badly that they're going to go reach on him. Josh Allen's your franchise guy. Got to protect him. So Steve Avila here at 27. Again, if Osiris Torrance is there too somehow at 27, which he could be on draft night, I think the Bills snatch him up so fast. The Cincinnati Bengals. And this is also one I already have locked in my head. Anton Harrison, great tackle out of Oklahoma. The Bengals had a crazy offseason addressing that offensive line, but it did not play out. Lyle Collins was less than desired, and I believe they, like the Jets, will keep swinging until they can get that offensive line right. They have their franchise guy, gotta protect him. We saw what happened rookie year. He was not protected, and he got hurt, tore ACL, and they cannot have that happen again. So here goes Anton Harrison to be a protector for the future. Pick 29, now the Saints pick from the Sean Payton acquisition from the Broncos. And the Broncos got it from the 49ers. So the Saints here, I liked Kalijah Kancey a lot if he was there to the Saints. But without him here, I really am torn because they are also one of those teams, just like the Buccaneers, that I believe should be entering a full rebuild. They have all these horrible backloaded contracts so that Drew Brees could keep playing with these guys. Now they're in a really bad cap situation. And I believe that the best depth option here is a Cam Smith. And Cam Smith is a very physical press man corner. He can be a culture guy in the locker room. He really is confident. He's shown it in interviews. He's shown it on the field. The dude is full of confidence. And I think he could really be good for the Saints team. And corner is something that they still need. They got Alontae Taylor last year, who played pretty well out of Tennessee. But I think that they could address it again. Pick Cam Smith, probably best player available situation. Philadelphia Eagles, this is kind of a luxury pick for them. And this is one where earlier on with the Eagles, we picked Christian Gonzalez, corner out of Oregon. And at pick 30, they could address edge rusher. They could pick a third receiver, or they could pick Bijan Robinson. But I'm going to have the Eagles here picking Adebaware out of Northwestern. He tested off the charts in the combine. And sorry I didn't say the first name. I always mess it up, so I'm not going to attempt. Adebaware is his last name, out of Northwestern. Really good off the edge, but really showed what he can do in that combine. And the Eagles in that front seven are so good at coaching those guys up and making these guys productive that I believe if he goes into their hands, he could be dangerous. So at pick 30, I love that pick for them. The last pick of the first round with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. They have a lot of options here. They could go with a Zay Flowers kind of guy and get some receiver help. I believe they'll address some in free agency. I could see a Jacoby Myers going to Kansas City. DeAndre Hopkins could possibly get traded to KC. But here I still think that they need some edge help. And Felix Anudike-Uzomah is my pick here. Felix Anudike-Uzomah provides really good help. He's out of Kansas State, was pretty productive. And I think the Chiefs will really enjoy that. And they need some more defensive edge help. Frank Clark is gone, not coming back. And they always got to keep upgrading this defense. They're not paying them much. So if they can get that defense good, this team is going to be a dynasty. I think Chiefs fans should be very encouraged by their cap situation and the lack of names they really have on the defense. So that wraps up my mock draft today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know your input down below. Thank you, and stay tuned for more soon.